Now this is a nice mountaintop industry. I think this is a great way for us to bring the city up here. Hey, I'm Noodle Yeti, and this is the 29th part in a series we're doing where we build a city called Westdale. This part we're going to be primarily focused on beginning the expansion of our city up this hill. I'd like to start pretty much putting all the new development later on up on the top of this hill, and I think today would be a great way to satiate a little bit of our industry while also laying out the foundations to continue moving up there. So before we actually begin just building things out up the hill and placing industry up there, we need to first take a look at our infrastructure. We know that we want to create a switchback for road access to get to the top of the hill, but what we're also probably going to want to think about is the rail access as well, because all of our warehousing is down there on the bottom left with the cargo airport. Now, if we want to prevent a massive amount of trucks using our interchange and the switchback getting all the way up to it, we're going to have to figure out how to get the rail line up there without looking absolutely ridiculous. So when we come over here and we look at our topographical view here, from where the rail line curves over the interchange all the way up to the very top is roughly 100 and 110 meters. Or sorry, not meters, but units. However, if we look at this from this angle, you could see that it does come back down into a valley before it goes right back up to the top of a mountain again. So one of the things I was thinking about is gradually bringing the rail line up the hill until it's somewhere near the top, or somewhere about halfway up, and then we'll curve it into a tunnel where it can continue to climb and curve over until it can come outside of the, I guess, left side of the valley and then ride into the valley in order to provide the cargo station and possibly even further down the hill, a passenger station where we can allow intercity trains as well as extending our pedestrian train line from here all the way up into the hill. Because of how important the rail line is, that is what we're going to want to focus on building first. So I'm going to go ahead and buy the tile and start getting the rail line up the hill. So I'm thinking I want to grab our rail line here. Now I'm going to want to mark some topographical points on my map, but I'd also like to place down where I'd like the rail line to end up in the end. Maybe somewhere right around over here to the right around there or so. We can kind of curve it around as we go forward if we need the passenger rail over there. And we can kind of, well, maybe that's a bad angle for this, because it would have to be a pretty wide turn. So let's try and think of this maybe like that. That way, at least it's a straight in turn to curve underneath the hilltop and then come back down around over here. So I'm going to go bring out our paths, our dirt path, go into our topographical view here. And we just kind of want to mark places on the hilltop where we think we would want to come out of, where we'd want to turn into. I'm thinking we can come out somewhere along this particular contour line right here. Kind of mark it out just like that. And if it's going to be coming in from that angle, it's going to want to curve around and then out over here somewhere. Now, I think this is a pretty far distance. I think maybe we can start coming out around, right around here along this particular contour line right here. And I think that will give us ample of time to curve out and over there. If we come under here, we can turn and then curve out over there. Now that we have those locations, I'd like to take our level terrain tool here and just kind of flatten out certain spots over here just to give it kind of a landing before it starts going underground. So I know that I'd like to come out from roughly right around over here. And we can see that that's going to be the maximum length for it to go down to the ground, but is that going to cause some kind of a big height difference? And it doesn't appear to be. It actually appears to be in line with the rail line currently. So from here is where I would like to take our slope terrain tool, our narrow line. We want to right click towards the right side up there and then just kind of drag it up. Oh,
All right, well, I think that's a bad idea. I think we need more of a curve going on over here. Or maybe that's just too high up the hill. But we'll find out here in a second. So what if we right click down here at this one and kind of start dragging it down this way? Looks like we did a little bit of cut. I mean, that looks absolutely steep, and it's probably too steep for a train. I would have to guess that that's way too steep, even for such a long distance, but if we really wanted to, we could probably bring it out even further over here to the right. And you know what? I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to try and shoot for that. I think I want to minimize the amount of sloping we have going on. Minimize the grade, I should say. All right, so I've got it pushed over just a little bit further here. And I actually kind of like this a little bit better because we have some more kind of flatter ground over here to help us come down at a sharper angle before we have to curve, go a little bit straighter and then curve back down again. So let's see if we can get this done. So we want to come straight and then down and then curve straight again. And then we can curve back down again, right to where we need to go. Something like that. And then we can take our rail line and try our best to follow along that particular line here. And there we go. Let's see how gradual that looks. I'm thinking that looks pretty dang gradual if you ask me. I think it looks a lot better than what it did. So I think I'm going to call this one good. I'm going to bring it straight and then start to curve it under. And now that we have our segment that goes underground, we can start to concern ourselves with getting this one over here and in line with that to go underground over there. So I'm going to go back into our topographical view here, and we can see that this railroad does have to go down in order to get there. And I actually think that's a good idea because I'd like to terraform over here to bring the ground level up around it. So that way we can have roads easily pass over this. So I'm just going to go ahead and just allow it to follow along over here. It looks like we're going to have to curve it through some lines over here. So we're going to go ahead and push this hillside back just a little bit until we get the rail line nice and connected up. There we go. And now same thing, we could take our freeform tool and bring it underground. This is of course where things get a little tricky. All right, so I've got a curve that I will at least be acceptable of. We're just going to ignore the underground rapid gradient changes, but other than that, I think it looks perfectly fine. And if we come out of our underground view, we can see, I think that looks decent enough. So I think I will be acceptable of that. And now that we have this up here, we want to think about how we're going to get road access up here. Right down here where the highway converges into the 6-lane road is where I'd like to replace it with a roundabout. And then from here we can have more highway that runs along this hillside and kind of mirrors the rail line over here, where eventually we could find a low spot over the crest of the hill and then bring it back down and into this valley up here. I'm going to go ahead and pause the game for this one. I'm going to pull it back quite a bit. And we want to look at our terrain tools here, and we want to make a pad for ourselves again. I know we had one already, but we got rid of it when I did all the terraforming in the last episode. So we're going to have to build out another little pad over here, but that's okay. We'll come in with our dirt road in order to draw out the Alright, so I've got the roundabout drawn out over here. And as you can kind of see, I went a little bit fancy with the highway access. And that was just because of the angle that the highway had to come in just to get into the roundabout. I did 3 lanes on the roundabout, but then over here I dropped it down to 2 so we will have a dedicated right turn lane in order to get onto this particular highway access. Now it looks like having a 2-lane might be a little bit excessive. I wonder what happens if we upgrade it to a upgraded to a 3-lane, it looks like we'll still have the 2 straight through lanes, or the ones that we intend to be straight through. But who knows if people will actually use that or not. I actually don't know if that's going to be important or not. But we'll go ahead and leave it like that, and if it turns out to be overkill, then we can go ahead and get rid of it later. But as for now, I think that works out. We could just ignore the middle lane there, since this game is weird and wants to have U-turns there. So for the highway access to go up and over the hill, we can start at the roundabout over here. I was thinking of following a contour line over until it reaches the railway, and then we can follow along or parallel the railway until we reach right around over here somewhere, and then we can create a small pad where we can switch back to come over a little bit ways away, maybe somewhere around over here. I think this is where we're going to have to look at our contours. So if we switch back right around over here to go back to the left, it looks like it's going to have to be a pretty steep one to get up to around this area where there's shallower ground. And at this point, we have to ask ourselves if we want to just terraform this so that way we could just have the highway pass through, or if we want to create another switchback to come over to this area over here. I'm thinking, after I just said that out loud, I'm thinking I'm probably going to go with this one over here on the left. So now I kind of want to mark out where I'd like my... Wow, I don't think I've seen that traffic in a while. Come over to our come over to our contour lines. We already know we want it on the same pad with the rail line over here, or just a little bit beneath it. And we're going to grade it up to there. So it looks like we don't really have to do much besides grade out the roundabout over here. Well, actually, we probably want to push the land in to the left of the railroad, so I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I have, in fact, created kind of a way for us to parallel this particular rail line over here. And I think it's doing good, and I created a pad for us to switch back from, and I think I'm actually going to go ahead and just slope it out from here. I think I'm going to right-click at the center of this saddle, and we're going to start from over here. And we kind of want to go up as quickly as we can, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. It's not the prettiest, but we can clean it up once we're done. And same thing from over here. We know that we want to start over here, and we want to push out and then come over. Actually, I think that was a terrible idea. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to try and see if I can undo this. I think I want to come into the roundabout at more of an angle from up top. All right, so I'm going to try that again. Right click, and then I think we can come out from right around here. Just like that. I think that'll be perfectly fine. And now all we have to do is come in with our highway. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm its biggest fan, but I think it's doing okay. I think now all I need to do is just go around here with my terrain tools. So you know what? I'm actually just going to go ahead and be right back. All right, so I've got pretty much as much terraforming as I'm willing to do. I got that done now. And now I think we want to think about the road layouts up here and how we want to organize everything. I was thinking that along this hilltop here, we could put residential and then fill in the bottom over here with all of the industry. And of course, it's going to keep going down over here. And I'm thinking of using this particular tree line as the boundary for where I'd like the industry to end. But unfortunately, we can't buy that tile just yet, so we'll have to kind of wait it out a little bit. So I think these two areas are perfectly fine. And I'd like to come in and actually use the eco-friendly homes in the Holly district. And then over here in Kent Hills, we can put in our forestry industry. I think a good place to start with the road layout over here would actually be with the rail industry, or the cargo station. I'm not quite sure how far away it has to be. Maybe it's around 10 units or so. but it's going to be right in the middle of everything, and this might pose a problem for us. But if we keep this sparse and low density, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. Maybe we can consider putting the main road about 10 away from the cargo station. But first we'll have to actually place it down. And it does. It actually looks like it's about 10. I want to keep the bypass on the outside for the passenger line. I'm thinking somewhere central, and this right around here is looking central enough, I think. And I think that'd be perfectly fine. That way all of the industry has pretty much an equal distance away from it. So now all we have to do is get it hooked up. Maybe like that. I think that will be perfectly fine. It'll give them adequate queuing space. Definitely more than one single train length in here. So we can have a train in the terminal and a train waiting and still have room for people to pass by. So I think this is where we're going to have to think about how this train terminal hooks up to the main road in here. And I was thinking of just going with a curved road. So we can bring this main road out, another 10 units on either side. And since this is 10 units away, we can probably just go with a 5x5 curve and then hook it straight into the main road over here. And this is where we're going to want it to be a one-way, where people can only access from one direction, something like that, I think. We're going to want to start by curving this out in this direction. I think I'm just going to follow the baseline of the hill over here. And then I think this is where I'd like to bust out the terraforming tools again, because as you can see, we have a ridge of a hill over here. So if we come down over here, it'd have to be a pretty tight turn right next to the rail line and then over. I think I want to learn from my mistake over there with the bridge and try and fit a roundabout in over here somewhere. And I'm thinking just on the other side of the rail line, it's going to be good enough. And I did say that I wanted to terraform the land over or around the rail lines. That way we can easily bridge things over. I'm thinking I'm just going to go ahead and call that good enough. And now here's where we want to try and figure out how we get both of these to meet up at a roundabout over here on this side. This is a little tricky, not going to lie. Especially when trying to think about how we want to get a road up into our residential area over here. We should probably turn off our cargo station over here. We're just throwing money away right now. You know what? I think the first thing I'm going to have to do is just pick a spot for our roundabout where everything can just hook up. I'm going to go ahead and just use this one right over here. Use that guideline. I don't think the location is too important or too terribly important. I think, you know what? A 7x7 roundabout might be a little too much. So I think I'm actually going to go with we're probably going to go with a 6-unit roundabout. I think maybe we can come out between right over here, bridge it over just a little bit, and then curve it up into that road over there. I just want to make sure that okay, good. We have adequate landing space. And this is where we can bring it up fairly close, I think, right around there. And then this is where we want to begin bridging it over. I think that looks perfectly fine. And then we can find our road guidelines and curve it right on in. I think for our residential on the other side, we could probably come out right around here. And then get this roundabout upgraded. I'm going to want to go with just the plain 3-lane one-way road. Actually, you know what? We're going to go ahead and add bicycle lanes to this, because who knows, maybe the people who live up here want a bike to work. I'm actually thinking that I'd like to pull this main road down just a little bit closer to the train station here. I think I'd like to put a little bit of industry on both sides. I think having... Yeah, you know what? So we're going to go ahead and demolish all these roads over here and try this again. Let's go ahead and get out our dirt road again. We're going to go straight from this side to this side and come out just like that. And then we can use our curve tool. Curve in just like that right there. Then from here, we can just go ahead and bring this down and around. I think maybe something just like that over here. Now, I don't think I'm going to mind too much if I put industry on this main road in here. I think just to conserve space, it's probably going to be a good idea. That means for our main road that goes through, we're not going to want any sort of median. So they can enter the business from either side of the road. And actually, now that I remember it, we're probably going to want to push this one back just a little bit further if we're going to be turning the middle one into a 4-lane road here. We're going to want to come out 11 this time and then come in just like that. And as far as the other side goes, maybe we can do something similar where we come out by around 11. Then we'll have to figure out where they're going to hook up again in the future off to the right over here. But I'm thinking this road layout looks pretty decent for now until we actually move out into that side. They'll have plenty of access to get into the train terminal. They'll have all their stuff over here. So I think now is when we can go ahead and get our roads upgraded on this side. And I'm thinking this looks okay. I kind of like it. I think it looks pretty decent enough. And now that we have the roads upgraded, we're going to want to think about things like fire, basically all of our city services. So I'm going to go ahead and put a clinic up here, and I'm going to go with this like mountain type clinic. I think it looks pretty neat. And maybe we can sneak it in way over here. That might be a bad idea. I'm going to go ahead and put it in over here off of this road here near the near the train station. And for fire, we're going to go ahead and oh, well, maybe not that fire station, but we could put this fire station right over here. And then to help it out, maybe for our fire helicopters, we can go ahead and put down a fire watchtower, just in case these people can't actually get to it for some reason. As for police, we could probably put them over here on this road, just like that. Take up some of those awkward zoning squares. Now, I do know that we're gonna have to think about warehousing over here. And since this is such a small area, I think being able to put down a regular warehouse yard is going to be okay. It's not going to be too terrible, but we just have to think about where it's going to be. Maybe we could put it over here behind the police station. Although we're going to want to consider how easy is their access to the train station. We don't want to have it facing the main road because all of the traffic over here is going to be heading in that particular direction. You know what? Maybe we can actually come in with an industry road off of the center over here, right in between these for some reason. Evenly between this over here. And then we can place our warehouse off of this main road over here. Maybe right in there, facing away. This is only going to be the first warehouse. We're going to go ahead and turn it off. And we're going to set this to Zoned Industry Forestry Products. We are going to need the other one, which is going to be the forestry specific one, or a forestry specific one. And we're actually going to want to go with one of the smaller ones. And I'm thinking maybe this one right over here. And same thing. Oh, we got to turn it off ASAP or else I completely forgot to pause the game when we put that down. Looks like it doesn't have any routes, so we're doing fine. So we're going to want the sawdust storage for the raw forestry products. That way all these people can get easily supplied, and it's less likely that they'll pull their raw forestry products from the warehousing district or the forestry industry over there. Just to yet again prevent a little bit of the weirdness that goes on in this game. So I think for now, I actually want to run a power line up here, so I will get that done. I will be right back.
All right, so we've got all the power lines and things like that up here. Now, while I was doing the power lines, I was thinking this is going to be a giant cul-de-sac for quite some time. It means we're going to see a lot of truck traffic, which means we probably don't want to zone everything up here to be general zoned forestry industry. So I was thinking to help prevent some of these mass influx of trucks and things like that, we should actually do the the industrial forestry zone, as well as putting offices along the main road. The offices won't have as much traffic besides the people just getting to work and going home. And then the general zoned industry will require things like a main building, a barracks, and things like that. And those will have a lot less truck demand, as well as creating jobs and satisfying industry. So if we get out of this, we're going to want to paint our industrial zone. I'm just going to paint this entire area over here. And in fact, I think I'd like to come over this way as well. Maybe even come off of the residential road over here to maybe put the barracks down over here by the river or something. Just to kind of create maybe a nice environment for them to come back and relax at. They can go look at the river, go fish in their free time or something. Which means that we're going to want to take this from Zoned Industry Forestry products to, well, I guess we're going to have to decide on which product we want, whether that's paper or plain timber. I'm thinking plain timber is probably going to be the best one. So for now, I guess we could turn that on. And we can't set this to empty yet to export, so we will just leave it unbalanced. And this one over here, I set it to fill for the raw forestry products, just that way it doesn't try and export things. Another thing I realized is that this particular cargo train terminal only has access to one exporting method as well as the other cargo train terminal, at least for now. Until we buy the next tiles and extend the rail line down around and then hook it up into the rail line over by the highway over there. This is pretty much, it's not that attractive of an exporting option. So we're probably going to see even more people trying to export via the highway and driving it around before they actually start to utilize this train terminal for, well, quite a while. So I think I'm actually going to start over here, and this is where we'll put the main forestry building as well as the barracks. So if we come over here, I kind of want to look at this from a topographical view, if it'll let me. And we can see that there's just a little bit of flat land over here. So if we take our terrain tool here, turn up the strength, turn up the size, and just kind of get rid of that little ridge right there and fill this area in. So we're just going to go ahead and demolish everything over here real quick. Sorry about the flashbang. I'm going to want to come out straight. We'll do that for a little bit. And then I want to look at the contour lines and then maybe put them right around there. We can just have the buildings facing off of that. Oh my goodness. Sorry for all the flashbangs there. We could put the main industry building over here somewhere. We could probably actually fit it if we pull this off. Maybe to right about there. We could put the main industry building right over here. And then we could put the barracks over here facing down off of this particular road just like that. And it looks like the terraforming is just awful. What in the world? You know, I think that looks a little better. Maybe not the best. It's still got some weird terraforming going on back there. But you know what? I think that'll be just fine. Then we can hook it up just like that. And then for the residential road, we can just have it come right off of this intersection here and kind of curve around just like that until eventually it could bridge over and hook up into them. Of course, we're going to want to get these roads upgraded. I'm thinking we'll just go ahead and use the regular highway over here. And then for these ones, we could just stick with the regular industrial road. Just like that. And of course, let me get some water and power for these people. All right, there we go. We got water, we got power, we got the main forestry building as well as the forestry workers barracks. Doesn't look like it's had much of an impact on our industrial demand, but I have a feeling it's going to take a lot. So now's when I want to go ahead and just figure out what do we want over here. Ooh, a maintenance building. Oh my goodness, this thing is absolutely massive. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could fit this down over here if we look at our topographical view. 90% traffic, nice. So topographical. No, I don't think so. We'd probably have to level out a pad down here. We'd probably want to pick something like maybe this contour line over here. And I don't know if this is going to be large enough. And then we can slope it out from here. And now let's see if it will fit down here. It looks like it probably will. So if we bring this road down, start with a dirt road, we'll just come perfectly straight out because I think that's how I had terrain tooled it, terrain formed it, terraformed. Come out just like that, just like that. Come in here with this building. Yeah, it looks like it fits just fine. Then we can upgrade these roads to be industrial roads. Just to make sure it's in our industrial district. Oh, just barely. Looks like we'll also have to worry about its power as well. There we go. We got our little headquarters area over here down by the river where people can relax and have a good time over there, I guess. And now I guess is where we can come over here finally and take a look at what do we want to put over here. We could possibly think about putting down our own tree plantations over here. It looks like they might fit over here in this little area. And it would be kind of nice. They could then drive down the road across the street, deposit their goods at their warehousing. But I'm not quite sure if I want to put it here, because then that would take away some office zoning over here. But do we even have anything that would allow it? Yes. So if we put down the things like the sawmill and the engineering one is a little too big. So if we put down things like the sawmill for our plain timber, that'll allow a little bit of office zoning behind these. And I'm thinking that's perfectly fine. I think we could have a row of these sawmills over here. They'll be able to deposit their goods over here, which somehow this place is receiving plain timber from all over the rest of the city, which for some reason is not deciding to use the plain timber warehouse that is very convenient to their location. And it looks like our school has burned down. And I think for the tree plantations, we could probably get away with putting down a bunch of trees back here, pushing back the land with our terraforming tools, and putting in a bunch of the, just a little bit of the small tree plantations over here, just to kind of produce a little bit of the raw resources. We won't need a whole lot, we'll just need some. And let's see if this will fit over here. And it looks like it fits perfectly now. So that is exactly what we're looking for. So now we just need to come in with our trees, put down a whole bunch, just so that way we get our forestry stuff over here. And I will be right back. All right, so I've just slapped down as many young lindens as I could fit in this area. And I think that should be enough. So if we come in here with our, what is this, small tree plantation, and we kind of just slide it across, we should see that it is producing the maximum of 4,800 units per week now. I don't know if I want to put down a whole bunch along this back. I don't know how much that'll produce. It might be a bit overkill and we will see a lot of traffic going on. So for now, I think we could just put down a couple of them over here on the left side. Because remember, I do want to put residential up here. So I think these tree plantations could act as somewhat of a sound buffer between the residential up on top of this hilltop and to this industry area down here. So I think 3 is going to be fine. I think I'm going to swap these from beech to conifers because I believe that matches the environment just a little bit better. And now that we have our raw resource production, we could probably think about putting down our sawmills. I'd like to put them down over here by the rail yard, or rail yard, down by the rail line. We probably only need a couple of these, so we could probably just fit maybe 3 of them. Take this one, move it somewhere closer to the center like that. Then maybe in between, we could put down some generic zoned forestry industry in between them. And I think now that that's done, we can go ahead and turn on our sawdust storage and have it set to fill. Of course, this means it is going to put a call out to everywhere and its mother all across the city. Probably turn our cargo train terminal on. Probably should have done that first, so that way this might have used the rail line instead of calling a mass influx of trucks, but it is what it is. It will eventually take care of itself. I'm thinking if we are going to be doing the zoned industry up here, we probably do want a few more of these tree plantations up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put down 2 more because I guess that's all we can fit for now, at least. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm actually just going to go ahead and do a couple more of these planed timber sawmills. Maybe we could put them up here or by the trees just to kind of fill in a little bit more. Which means we might want a larger warehouse yard. I think this is quite a bit of plain timber production for this small warehouse yard, but I think we'll be okay. I think it'll be all right. We do have the cargo train terminal over here. And as we expand out, we'll have more opportunity for ways for them to get their goods in and out of the city. So I'm thinking our little hilltop forestry industry up here is actually looking pretty good. I kind of like it. And I'm thinking when we put in the offices, I'm going to make them historical at level 1. And I guess we can kind of use the offices as a way to imagine those are like the office buildings managing this place where they come up with designs, patterns, logistics, things like that for their products. And then in between each sawmill, I'd like to put
at least on this side of the main road, I'd like to put general zoned forestry industry, where they could maybe process some of that plain timber into forestry zone goods. And on the other side where the trees are, I'd actually like to put some more trees down in between those sawmills and then place down some more of the general zoned industry, except those ones are the ones that take the resource from the trees, produce the raw resource. I think that would be a good idea. And I think I'm going to call the episode good for here, and the ending time lapse will be me finishing this area out. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I kind of like this idea. It's kind of cool. It looks neat. Mountaintop timber, mountaintop forestry industry. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.